Okay, it's a little windy today, but I thought I'd give you an update of our backyard, what's been going on. Got a lot going on, so um, start over here. I have my sage plant coming back year after year. She's starting to flower. I just can't get enough of sage and prosciutto and over chicken breasts. Really good. St. John's wort is taking off over here. Again, it's an invasive plant, but I'm waiting for that to flower. I got my dehydrator and some plans to finally treat that. Our knockout roses are doing really well. Unfortunately, we had to treat them this year. We had something annihilated last year, so not something I can pick off of and do the rose water. But we will be treating it hopefully organically starting next year, so I'll be able to pull the flowers from that. Our hostas are doing quite well on the side of the house. They really like it. I had transplanted the smaller ones when we first moved here about 3 years ago, and the deer have not found them yet, so I'm pretty happy about that. Have some sunflowers over here in my grow bags, my 15-gallon grow bag. Some calendula flowers, again growing those for medicinal purposes. I'm going to be drying the flowers and then using that accordingly. There'll be updates on that. Got our bird houses. I gotta fill that planter with a pretty flower that doesn't mind some drought. Over here is our first year asparagus bed. You can see that they've ferned. Billy's treated it with some straw. You want to make sure that you throw straw down, not hay, so we don't have any seeds, but we want to try to control the weeds in this patch as much as possible. Next year we may be able to harvest a few spears, not a lot. You don't want to take a lot in the first 3 years, so we'll see how that progresses, but that's new to the earth garden this year. I got some spare buckets waiting for a job. Our potatoes are doing quite well. They have come over the top of the rim, so I have an earlier video on how I started the potatoes in the bucket. Once those stems start coming over the rim, we'll fill it backfill it with some dirt, have some straw mulch on top of that to keep the UV, the sun, from affecting our potatoes as they grow. You don't want them turning green. Green isn't toxic. And now we're waiting for this just to get big and tall and show some flowers. Once it shows flowers, that means that's a happy plant and it is producing potatoes below. If I have any pests with my potatoes, I will just spray it with a neem oil solution, and that seems to work for us. So that's with our potatoes this year. I cannot remember the variety that I planted, I'm sorry. Over here we have an American sycamore tree in that bucket. Billy grabbed some seeds that were blowing around on one of our neighbor's lawns, and we're hoping to get that to come about. And then we have some seedlings from our Japanese maple that is not doing well in the front yard, and I think that's a pin oak. Not too sure what he's got going on in there, but he is trying to grow some of them. I'll show you in the back how successful some of his endeavors have been. We're in the process of cleaning up this rock and putting in landscaping fabric that was just thrown on there. Kind of regret just doing it, but this garden's going on 3 years now, so little improvements here and there. You see my begonias. I tried starting them from bare root this year, so that's again a new endeavor. And I have my bee cup in there. I have to get a little water in there. That has a UV coating on it. It's made out of a clay, and it's just a little cup for the bees and the butterflies to take a sip from. I've caught them in my bird bath a couple of times too, but you want to give them access to water as well. Over here I have my cilantro. That lettuce pot is probably going to be ending soon and something else will be going in it. I have all my things waiting to be planted. I have some more parsley over here. This basil is from Rutgers variety. Marigolds are always good. These look dead to you, but what I'm doing is I'm waiting. I'm going to try to harvest the seeds so I can try again and hopefully not kill it. I missed watering, and unfortunately that's what happens sometime. I got my parsley up here again with my bee cup. These are just mostly sacrificial parsley. I will use some of it for the kitchen. I'll cut back some thyme basil, but the butterflies, caterpillars, they enjoy munching on my parsley, so I have that offering for them. Some tomato plants that I got from my neighbor, so I do need to figure out where I'm going to be putting that. Over here I have my zucchini. I'm going to try to grow it vertically this year, just because of space. You know, I always tend to try to space my garden as best as I can, and I will always put more in there than should be. So we're going to try to have them vertically. This gives the plant a lot of good airflow underneath. The fruit hopefully will be able to develop. You'll notice here a weed that people always tend to pull, and I'm actually trying to grow it. That's called lamb's quarters, and you can give that a Google search and see the benefits of lamb's quarters. I'll probably never pull chickweed again. There's a lot of interesting things that could be done with all of these things, so that's why that weed is still in my garden. You know, weeds to some, but to me, lamb's quarters is going to end up being useful. These two, again, I'm growing these from seed. I'm not doing too well. I've been pulling off the flowers, trying to get the plant to develop a little better. I may be pulling these, sacrificing them, or Billy had picked up peanuts. So I'm, again, trying to figure out where to put peanuts, because they actually grow up vertically and then fall over, and the flower is what creates the peanut. So they need a little room. I don't know if this is going to be a good spot for them, or if this will be a good spot. This is my celery. Almost getting, it's a little weak. This is my first attempt. You'll notice I have carrots in between the celery. The celery goes up, the carrots go down, so that's a good companion planting. There's those peanuts we were talking about. They're just hanging out waiting for a new home. So we'll be pulling the celery sometime soon. Don't know when, but it's all new to me. I've never grown celery. That one looks like it's coming along well. So this is my first attempt at a spring garden. Some things have taken, some things haven't. It's been really weird for me. The cucumbers, we're trying a new thing. These are the 15-pound grow bags that I got. We're going to try to, usually I plant them in the ground and they never make it up to the bottom rail of this cattle panel. And there's something in the ground that's been eating the roots for a while. I haven't had success in pickles or cucumbers in this area. So I'm giving the grow bags a shot and seeing, since it brings it up higher, we'll be able to get it on this cattle panel. There's Billy relaxing a little bit. He's been working hard. Again, another thing, everything's trial and error. You got to give it a shot. I have some sacrificial dill here for my little pollinators, and sunflowers that I started in the house. I had maybe 6 or 8. These are the 4 that have survived so far. Somebody's been eating. Somebody was eating my tomato starts down to the roots. So I have Billy made these the bird netting all around it, this elaborate thing, hoping that my tomatoes will finally be able to start taking off without somebody munching on them. This is probably the smallest tomatoes I've started but we shall see. I have some Sun Golds, all of my small salad potatoes in the back. These are just a variety of heirloom potatoes, slicing tomatoes. I'm a little tired. In between, you'll see I have some basil. It's looking kind of dried out. I didn't get out here to water it. But the basil in between the tomatoes are basically sacrificial. They're great companion plants. I love it when I'm out here picking tomatoes. I can smell the basil. I'll cut some stems off of it. I plan on making basil pucks this year for the freezer, so that's going to be a new way to harvest the basil. I love putting sprigs in filtered water with some strawberries and letting that sit in the refrigerator overnight. The next morning it's really refreshing. Basil and strawberry just goes together so well. And these two rows are my pasting tomatoes. So I have San Lorenzo, Amish paste, and a Polish paste tomato as well. So we'll see how they go. I do have 2 yellow squash plants. Some people are fans, some people aren't, but I can make a really good yellow squash relish. It's got a mustard base to it, and it is really, really good. Good in stir fries as well. There's an example of how leggy my tomatoes were this year, so we're hoping that we're going to get something going that looks a little better than what we have going on now. My purple top turnips are doing phenomenal. They're going to be pulled soon. I see one in there. I like adding this to soups, to stir fries, just different, roasting them. So we'll be pulling those. I started my eggplant in the cages. You'll see some spinach that really hasn't been doing that great around it. Some early kohlrabi that has a little bit of time left, but not much. My beets, again, having real issues with my spring garden this year. I don't know what's going on. I'm just going to chalk it up to no rain and our water is being treated for Legionnaire's disease, which is wonderful. So they've been putting a lot of chlorine through it, and I think that is the issue as far as my seedlings being so small and the plant's just not doing well. So over here you can see I spoke how we were trying to clean that up. So we're going to be pulling the rocks away from the garden, and he's giving me more area in the front to plant some flowers just to get our pollinators to come and visit. Say hi, Dave. He's really busting his butt this year, but it's all looking good. Over here we took out a tree last year, so we're gonna make that into a table. It gets too much afternoon sun, so we're going to be moving. Hopefully I'll be able to, the impatiens will survive. Moving the impatiens to a different area and putting vinca in here. This is a butterfly bush that we thought didn't make it, didn't survive. We pulled it, gave it a really good haircut, and now it's coming back, so I'll be glad to plant that somewhere in the future. Probably on the side of our compost bin. Compost bin has been doing really good. Billy had these water spigots put in with the sprinkler system, so you'll see them all around the backyard. We have an RV filter attached to it, trying to get as much of the chlorine out as we possibly can. And then our new addition to the backyard is our beautiful shed from J&L Amish Depot on 206, and I think it says Mount Holly or East Hampton. If you're interested, give me a shout. We're still trying to decide what to put on the cupola. He's got his flag hanging, so we're in the process of trying to get electricity back here. They came in, they put this base down, 4x4s sunken into the ground with about 4 inches of gravel. There's landscaping fabric underneath. And then a few weeks later, they came back with this kit and built on site. So we're really happy with that. He's been filling it up, getting rid of the pallet shed. Got some planters going here. I have some petunias. I'm hoping, I had relocated, I'm hoping that my treasure flowers come back. They're from Africa. They're these really cool flowers that close and open. They close at night and they'll open in the morning. Again, people may think these are weeds, but here's another lamb's quarter growing in my flower bucket, and we're just going to leave it be because they are beneficial, and we'll be doing something with that. Here's an example of the trees that sprout in my backyard. This one was actually wrapped around one of the rose bushes. It's 3 years old and getting huge, but I'm really happy with it. We're trying to get some more trees back here. These forsythias, it doesn't matter how much you cut them back, they grow like crazy. My Mother's Day gift, I have my lavender plant in the back. I'm hoping that the lavender plants in the next door neighbor will be beneficial. This holly, this crazy holly, this is another thing we found entangled in the roses, and it had maybe 3 leaves on it about 3 years ago, and it is extremely happy. Unfortunately, it's extremely happy here, and we plan on moving it to the front. So we're hoping that by the end of, like around the fall, I think is when we have to move it, the fall or the spring. But we will be moving that to the front yard. This area here, I think I'm going to be moving some other plants back here, and this is my yarrow. This is a strawberry yarrow, so it's going to have these really pretty strawberry flowers, and you can Google search yarrow and see the benefits of that plant and what we're going to be doing with it. You'll see some weeds over here. I just want to point them out. My neighbor does spray, so I can't take any of this, but it's called garlic mustard. And the leaves are really tasty. You can put that in a salad. Has a lot of benefits. But you have to be careful where you're pulling from, making sure that there's no pesticides. And I know that in our backyard we're all organic, so I'm okay. So now the berry patch. Billy, this was nothing, and he comes up with this idea. So he built the boxes for the strawberries. We attached cattle paddles. There are 4 of them going along here. Then we covered it with bird netting. So this is all netting. There's some chicken wire on the bottom there to keep our little bunnies out. And then he built me a door in the middle of it, so we can come in and out of our berry patch. We have some pine needle bar mulch down. You can see how much our berries are so happy in here. I got beautiful strawberries, again, all organic. This one is sending some runners off, so it's doing well. Our blueberries are getting ready to turn blue. It's amazing, the blue jays, they all know it's here, they just can't get into it. Last year we had bunnies and birds just annihilate our blueberry bushes. These were 3 years old. We got them last year from a gentleman in Jackson on Butterfly Road. I'm sorry, I don't know the name, but he sells them for a decent price, and they fruit right away because they're old enough. I'm going to see another. Kinsley was in here, but she did leave me some berries. These are our old berries that we had moved. We tried the laundry basket method. It's working out okay, but again, because we moved them, I think they were just in shock, so hopefully that's something that will continue. This blueberry bush we got from our neighbor. Again, so you'll see some of them didn't get pollinated, so you'll see some berries, and then I don't know if that's going to take off, but like, we're trying something new with this bird netting. We did have bees in here, So that was good, but I don't know if they had access, so we may be taking the netting off earlier, putting it back on. We may be keeping it and just saying we'll get whatever we get out of it. Who knows? These 2 boxes, I have some yarrow from Bare Root. It doesn't look like it took, but I'll give it a season and see how that goes. You'll see a soaker hose that he hooked up in here for me, so I don't have to hand water it anymore. Love all the things that he does for me. These are those, you ever get the blueberry bushes for $9.99 in Lidl's and say, yeah, I'm going to be able to do that. So you see what a blueberry bush looks after a year. It's a small little thing, but we'll see how they continue. Another one from the gentleman on Butterfly. Another one from our neighbor. Strawberries are going really good. And this is my raspberry that I got from Bare Root. I want to say Gurney. I order from so many different companies, but I'm pretty sure this is Gurney. And we'll be researching that and getting that in a position too. I see this blueberry patch actually expanding a little bit, so I don't know. But oh, look at this guy, how pretty. That is one perfect berry. I know I just picked 26 pounds of berries from Specco, but these are kind of special. I love it when Kinsley comes over and starts just grabbing and eating. I know that all of my stuff isn't sprayed, so she can just eat it right off the vine. And that's our blueberry patch, or strawberry patch actually. I got some strawberries and some raspberries in here. These strawberries are doing pretty happy. I see some flowers. He put a hose in here for me so I don't have to drag something in here. And that is the blueberry patch, or the berry patch. Another thing, again, doing the spring garden for the first time this year. Some things are working, some things aren't. I'm getting some really nice broccoli heads. We'll be pulling those. I have some radishes growing around the edge. This is my last course of radishes that I'll have. There is some cauliflower and more broccoli in there, but I'm not getting anything. Again, the lack of rain is really having an effect, I think, for the most part. This is a hanging basket that I got from Bountiful Gardens off of 295 in Ewing, one of my favorite places to go to. There's a really nice broccoli head in there. I'm gonna have to pull that. It's starting to flower. And then the stems on this variety of broccoli are really, really tall. I did cut some leaves off to get some air flow through here, but you'll see that I actually had an advantage of trying to get, there's other sprouts that are coming along the stem, almost like a Brussels sprout. So first time that I'm able to grow broccoli without any kind of cabbage worms or those white butterflies annihilating it due to this insect netting that he put on there for me. This is all going to be coming out soon, and I'm going to be replacing it with watermelon. It did pretty good last year, except every time I got a little melon, I had a little bird or somebody come up here and eat it. So with the netting, I'm hoping that I'll have better success. My cabbage isn't working out. It's not connecting together. I don't know if I'm just being impatient or it's just the weather, whatever it may be. So I do still pull the leaves. I still do saute them. It is cabbage still, so it's not a lost cause, but again, it's my first year, so I will learn. I'm going to definitely plant them a little earlier. You can see my radishes are being ready to pull. I'm having issues with slugs this year, taking little nibbles, I don't know if you can see it, with the netting out of my radishes. But organically, when you grow organically, you do have to share some time with the little pesky things that are there. This box is going to be cleaned out soon as well too. There's going to be some pepper in here, peppers and lettuce. The lettuce that I purchased from Johnny Seeds is actually good in the heat, so we'll be being able to harvest that a little hotter now. This lettuce is going to be being pulled as needed during this week. I got my dinosaur kale. God, it looks beautiful. Hardly any kind of insect on that. A little bit of damage, but still not as bad as I've had in the past years. I had radishes all along this border, and I've harvested them. I don't know if you've ever roasted radishes, but if you take them, quarter them, a little olive oil and butter, salt, pepper, and smoked paprika, and roast them. I used to hate radishes, and they're the best. You'll see our tromboncino squash. This is, again, a new one for us. Thank goodness, looking a little more healthy. You can see what I'm saying as far as my seedlings having issues this year, mostly with our water because of the excess chlorine that they've been pushing through the lines for that Legionnaire's disease. But we've been using the RV filter on them, and they're definitely looking a lot better now that I've put them outside. They are going to be forced over this cattle panel, and the fruit is going to be hanging upside down. I mean, hanging from the vines as they go across, and that's going to be a fun addition to the garden, so look forward to that. I have my sacrificial pots on the ground for our bunnies. Last year I actually had a bunny jump up on one of these. I had pictures of it. So they will get up there if they want to. So I'm hoping if I put something low on the ground, we might not have an issue. You'll see another lamb's quarter in there. Got one over here. So we'll be saving those. And this box will be changing over soon. Over here, there's another hanging basket from Bountiful Gardens. Just trying to get our pollinators into the backyard. My scallions are doing really well. They're going to flower soon. First time doing that. There's nothing like scallions are my favorite, especially in a vinaigrette. They're just so delicate. Have some early kohlrabi in here. Not sure what's going on with them, but in the center there's some bunching onions, and then over here I have leeks. They take about 100 days, so I don't know if I'm going to have enough time for them. This bed is going to be our garlic bed next year, so I'm going to take everything out, and that garlic's coming I don't know, September, October I think we plant that, and we'll have this bed full of garlic for harvesting next July. So this monster of a thing is actually a bush. Mrs. Higgins had a great eye for flowering bushes, and this is called a fire bush. So it is just something really special. It will get these beautiful flowers on the end of it, and it's just something really pretty in our backyard. I have my hummingbird feeder up, making my own hummingbird solution, and because it's in the 80s, that's good for about 3 days, and I'll discard it and start over. The solution lasts for about 2 weeks. Our pellet shed has been dismantled, thank goodness, and we're going to be harvesting this wood, but everything's out. This is the future home of my greenhouse. So again, stay tuned and see how that project comes about. We have the kitchen garden over here. I have some chamomile that is probably going to be moved in the back by the yarrow and the berries. Lemongrass that's probably going to be moved in the back as well, but right now just sitting in the pot, trying to continue. We bought this peony last year, and it flowered nicely. I have some of Mrs. Higgins peonies that unfortunately I didn't realize were over here, but these two popped through, so I'm thankful to be able to save at least some of her peonies. This one's pink. The other one that's not doing so well, I have to research this, is white. New additions this year, I have some mint and some apple mint. I keep that in a container just so I can control it. It will go all over the place. I've given my chives a haircut. I have a video on that, and some of them are coming back, so you can take a look. My lavender is about 3 years old. Really excited about this, drying some in the Nutri-Hydrator for tea and for decorative purposes. I'm gonna make some oils out of it too. Chocolate mint. I have my rosemary. This is where I take mostly from my parsley because it's right outside the kitchen door. My crazy thyme bush. Thyme. This thing has just been so good to me. And then over here is another Mother's Day gift that I got. It's my tower. So we have some parsley. That was yellow just because I didn't get it planted in time. But I have some curly parsley in here, some basil. The lettuce in there is probably really pushing it. It's the early spring lettuce, so that will be coming out. If I can harvest some of them, that will be great. I got it real cheap at the farmer's market. And this thing's pretty cool. We just fill up the top and it self-waters all the way down, so I got another new addition. The wheel horse is waiting for its new carburetor. Does its job. We're hoping that he's been working on this for 2 years. And we're hoping that it'll get going again, but we've been push mowing it for now. And then that's about it. So we're just working hard, trying to get everything that we want to get going, transferring the spring garden over to the summer garden, looking to get plans together for our greenhouse out of windows that we have. And if you have any questions about anything that I went over, just give me a shout. And I hope everybody's doing well. Happy Memorial Day, and take care, everyone.